Hello, 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 little radicals, and welcome back to another episode of Keeping It Radical with me, the big radical, Aaron Robinson, and today I am super excited because I have a guest and I'm not actually going to be talking to myself today, but today we have the creator of the one book, Kristen. Kristen, thank you very much for coming and being with me today.
Thank you, Aaron, for the invitation. I'm so excited to be here.
You are very welcome. You are very welcome, Kristen. I have heard a lot about you from similar friend circles that we run in, and I've heard a lot about your one book. So I'm really excited to have you here today because I have a lot of questions for you, as well as I just really want to explore your story as well as this book. And I also, too, being self-employed and like stepping out of my comfort zone this year, I have been struggling a lot with being on my own as well as keeping myself accountable for things. And like back in my corporate life, I was all about having a binder or a notebook. And it was funny, when I left my corporate life for real estate, that notebook that I got every year it came with me, but I didn't fill it out as much. It was no longer a to-do book anymore. It was just something I carried around, and it's been something that I've missed. Now, your book is that on steroids.
It's a little enhanced, yes.
Yes. I want to know all about it, starting with what made you create the one book, and what experiences did you have that kind of got you to this place?
Okay, I mean, that's a loaded question,
We got
but
time,
such
girl.
a good question. So I'll start with why first, and then I'll give you a bit of the backstory that will explain more context to it. So the why is quite simple. It's to overcome the overwhelm. And if you are a business owner, entrepreneur, leader, creator, even a student, you know what the overwhelm is, right? And it's when you feel like you have too many decisions or too many priorities, or you feel like you're stuck and you don't know which way to turn to get out, or maybe you've hit some, failures in the road, and it all just feels like it's too much. And what happens is we slow down, we stall, worst case scenario, we stop and we give up. And I've always known the overwhelm myself, just through my own experiences as a former registered nurse, healthcare leader, now entrepreneur and business owner myself. So I know it personally. But as a business strategist working with other small business owners, I see it happen in front of me as well. And I believe in my clients so much, and I only want them to find their success and to reach their goals. So to see any amount of overwhelm get in the way, it's just not okay.
No, it's not.
It's not okay. And I had been working on and using my own sort of system through best practices that I'd picked up along the way, and through my MBA training, and even with doing leadership coaching. Like when you're having to coach others, you learn so much along the way, what works, what doesn't. And so I'd been using this own system for myself for a few years, and then it was during the pandemic when I was working with small business clients specifically, and in many cases completely pro bono. It was pay what you can afford, because the shit hit the fan. People didn't have money to pay for a business strategist. Yeah. I wanted to just keep working anyway. And so for a lot of people, I'm like, that's fine. You want an hour? Let's talk about it.
Well, and also during that pandemic, I call it the year of entrepreneurship and self-employment. Not everyone left their job. A lot of people got laid off, and it was that, crap, what do I do? Let's do something for me. And I feel like that very much goes right into what you're talking about, that mind shift from any 9 to 5 to self-employment, entrepreneurship. Just that's a big step.
Oh my God.
That overwhelmingness.
Yes.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. And so, it was actually with one specific conversation with one of those clients. Yeah. And she said, how do you do it, Kristen? Because I have 2 businesses. I have a charitable project that I co-facilitate with my sister. Like, how do you keep it all together and not be overwhelmed? And so I said, oh, well, I've just got this system that I use. No big deal. And she wanted to know more. Well, could you teach me? I'm like, well, sure. So I gave her the basics of it. And back then, it was just a bullet journal, right? So instead of a line journal, it was just that dot grid journal paper. That's all it was. And I would pull out my ruler every month and create my grids and my calendars and my lists. And it was somewhat therapeutic because it was also creative, which we'll hang that up for a minute because we're going to come back to that. Yeah. But it was also somewhat tedious and having to do it every single month. And she says, well, you should just make this a book. Like, that would be great. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I should. And so thinking, I'm somewhat crafty with Canva. I should be able to pull this together. Lots of templates there. Kind of started playing with it, and I realized, no, like, this is too big. I need to hire an expert for this.
Girl, preach. And I'm so happy that you realized that at the start and not like 3 years in and like, I can't do this anymore. Because that...
No. I know when I'm in over my head, and It was very clear that I was. And the plot thickened on that one too. So I worked with one graphic designer who took all of my ideas and my vibes that I was giving her and put it into a kind of a first draft.
Okay.
And it was very feminine. I mean, I'm kind of like the florals on my wall kind of girl. Love the poofy scripts, all of it. And she translated the first draft into that. So it was a fit, no doubt. But we had a hiccup at the end where it just wasn't exactly what I was thinking of doing.
Yeah.
And at this point, I had decided it wasn't going to be something to just get printed at a local print shop. This was going to be published. And I started working with a publisher. I wanted an ISBN number. I wanted the copyright. I wanted it all. And that elevates you, right? It's one of those things. If you're going to make a decision to take on a big project, you can't half-ass it.
No.
And it's risky, and it's terrifying, and it's expensive, and it's all of those things, but so worth it in the end.
Yes.
Right? And I didn't know how. I wasn't an author. I'd never published before. So I just got curious, and I just started asking a lot of questions of people that are smarter than me, and I figured it out. One path, anyway. There's so many paths. So anyway, we got to the point where we were hoping to get everything done and finished probably by about October this time last year.
Yeah.
And we were in the summer, and that's when I had the first final draft of the book. And it wasn't working. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try another graphic designer. Maybe they can take care of some of these tweaks. Wrap everything up with my first friend who helped me out. And through some very wonderful friends, I found a connection with Logan Gray.
Okay.
Who is the graphic designer behind the book that you see in front of you.
Ooh, everyone. The book.
Yes, and Logan gets all credit for the beautiful graphic design and layout of this book. It was all them. And so they said, okay, show me the draft.
Yeah.
Let's see. Show me what you want fixed. Let's talk about it. And they took it away, and they came back to me, and in such a kind but straightforward manner said, Kristen, if I saw this in the bookstore as it is now, I would keep walking. And it doesn't speak to me. And Logan is transmasculine.
Okay.
And said, I wouldn't see myself in this. And I went, that's not okay. That's not who I am.
Yep.
I want this to be inclusive and available, accessible and appealing to every human.
Exactly.
And I'm like, okay, no wonder this didn't feel right. And
interesting.
And everything was just lining up as it was supposed to be. And it ended up being a complete redo. Logan said, I think to do this right, we have to start from square one. So they let me think about it. I mean, that's another huge expense. It's time.
Exactly.
We were now looking at this looming deadline of trying to get it done by October, and this is end of August. How? How do you redo an entire book? And I did some soul searching, and I knew. Like, my instinct instantly was, yes, you have to do it. But then my brain had to catch up. Like, okay, can I make this work?
It's that gut feeling. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I went back to Logan. I said, let's do it. And we had several meetings of just getting together and figuring out what needed to make it right. And they asked me the most profound question. They said, Kristen, what do you want to say about this book when it's finished? How do you want to describe it? And again, I went with the first word that came to my mind. And I said, outstanding. And I'll never forget the grin that came across Logan's face. And it was just, okay, and that's what we're going to work towards. And they put it in the proposal. Like, it was our word. Outstanding. And I talk a lot about excellence and excellence potential in the book, because I think that's the level up. I want to hang that one up and come back to it later too, because what is a level up?
Yeah.
And in this case, it was taking it to outstanding. And so they did it, and the book got a million times better because of their input and their ideas. They infused a lot of confidence in me to include some of my Kristenisms.
That's awesome.
Right? You flip through the book and you see these little quotes or tips and tricks.
Yeah.
I was kind of shy to put those in the beginning. And
why?
I didn't want it to be my voice in the book because it's about you. It's about whoever uses the book. Mm-hmm. But Logan said, "No, you're like the tour guide. You're like the one going with you along the way." So because of their advice,
the mentor.
And I hadn't thought of it that way, right? I hadn't thought of it that way. But anyways, it all managed to get in there because of Logan. And we made the deadlines, and the physical books arrived on Christmas Eve on my doorstep. The poor delivery person who had to make that delivery because it was heavy.
Oh my Lord.
And no joke, probably about 20 boxes of heavy books.
Well, and it was in the middle of COVID too, so you're not allowed to help.
Yeah, it was. So that poor soul, bless them. And yeah, like the rest is history. It's just grown and grown and grown. So that's how the book came to be. And the fundamental principle behind the one theory is we need to avoid and also know how to deal with the overwhelm at all costs. That's the how we get to our goals. Yeah. That's how we level up.
See, this overwhelm topic of this conversation interests me so much. And actually, to a lot of my little radicals, it's something that I want to talk about. But this year, for me, I have found to be very overwhelming, but very underwhelming at the same time. And it has kind of put me in the first half of this year a little bit in a funk, needless to say, anymore. And a lot of it had to do with that overwhelm feeling. I had been on my own for so long, and then I kind of joined a team, and I left that, having to reinvent yourself. All of that is a lot already. And coming into this year, I was just tired, and I was overwhelmed with having to do it again, and where to start, and how to reinvent myself. And the first half of this year was, I started going to therapy to be like, Erin, get your head on straight. Like, this is not you. Why are you feeling so overwhelmed? But that overwhelmingness, for me, is sometimes, not sometimes actually, it's the first thing that like stops me dead in my tracks. Yeah. And it's then the anxiety comes along with it. And so when I started learning about your book, and then when you and I started talking more in your office, and you started really honing in on this overwhelming feeling, that's where I was like, oh my God. She's like, you're talking very good truths to me, but it's at the same time, I don't want to hear the truths. But it's one of those where I'm looking at it and I want to start it. But I'm almost like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. There's so many reasons. There's so many reasons to start, but then it only takes one reason not to. And it's
power of one.
It's the power of one. So you were talking about this one theory.
Yeah.
So did the one theory come before the one book?
Totally.
Really?
But I didn't know it was a theory. It was my kind of perspective and lens in life. And not just my professional life, just in life in general. Mm-hmm. And so that takes me back to more of my roots. And I talk a lot about head and heart, right? And for anything to make sense, for anything to truly motivate us, it needs to speak to our head and our heart. And so often we go through life and we're like, oh, I'm passionate about this. I want to do it. And yet the brain isn't engaged, so we fail. Mm-hmm. Or intuitively, logically, we know we need to do something to get it done, but our heart isn't in it, so we procrastinate. And we fail, right? And so this head and heart concept is truly like, is me as a human. We're all heads and hearts. Mm-hmm. But with my first profession being in nursing, that's my heart. And so you're going to have like nursing theory in the book. And so when I say I was a nurse, I was a pediatric intensive care unit nurse.
Wow, okay.
And so like adrenaline junkie is the phrase used lovingly. But it's very fast paced and there's no room for overwhelm. You know, you're in a crisis situation. That's a little person's life.
All the time.
And it's a family that's there and you need to care for them as well.
That's very heavy.
Very heavy.
Very heavy.
Oh, there's some marks in here that I too have had to work through in therapy.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget some of these little ones that I took care of. It was a privilege to be in these families' lives in what may be the most memorable, terrible, awful experience they'll ever have. You become a story later on. And are you going to be a good story or a not so good story? And I took that responsibility very seriously.
Yeah.
And so the analytical side, the 50-foot view perspective of all these things I had to do as a registered nurse, it stuck with me. And it also became a way that I looked at the world. look at a situation very, very quickly, identify what's not working, translate it into needs, address the needs, don't worry about the problems. It's about addressing needs, not fixing problems.
So interesting.
So there's nursing in there. And then from there in my career, through lots of different hoops and jumps and changes, I ended up going down the management leadership route. And my specialty was around quality and patient safety. And so when you unpack quality in healthcare, that includes everything from process improvement, like reducing wait times, to improving the patient experience, family-centered care, accreditation, ethics, policy, all of it. And patient safety, it was a huge passion of mine, and that came down to even something that I worked through was a project around disclosure of harm and how to have really difficult conversations with people that have experienced some form of harm while in care. Like, that's crucial communication, right? So in here, you have things around efficiency and effectiveness and communication and storytelling and all the things, right? So that was my executive career with within healthcare. And I went back to school and got my MBA in that process. And so, like, there's that in there too. Some of the marketing and the IT and the HR and all the things that you get in an MBA, it's in there too. And then I think perhaps the most fun part is the jewelry designer in me, the creative.
Wait, come again? You're a jewelry designer?
That's my second business. I just celebrated my 10-year anniversary with Kemba Designs. I've been doing it for 12, but incorporated 10 years ago.
Oh my God, Kristen, you're an author, a jewelry designer, a mom. Oh my God, how many more hats do you wear?
It depends who you talk to. I'll be your best friend, I'll be your sister, I'll be like those
Sign me
things
up,
that
sign me
matter,
up,
right?
sign me up.
But we're all that. We're all that.
Yeah.
We are all that, and I want everyone to give themselves permission to explore it, get curious, figure it out, try it, avoid the overwhelm. Because you know what? You get one life to live. And I get very, very serious about this and very heavy. And we can park that for another part of the conversation. But our time is precious. You don't know. I don't know. How much time do we have? And why would we waste it in a place of overwhelm where there's fear and fear of rejection or fear of judgment? Why would we let that hold us back and overwhelm us?
Well, and the funny thing about, well, not even the funny thing, but like the honest thing about that is that when you're in that state of mind, or just even in that bubble, if you can overcome that, that is where the most growth happens. And I find a lot of people, and I feel like, again, bringing it back to me in this year, is I just froze in that state. And it was like, what do I do from here? Do I just continue to just freeze and not share my life or anything anymore? Or do I figure out a different way to do it? A more creative way, a different way of stepping outside my comfort zone to push me, to help me grow. And then at the same time, it's I struggle with putting out stuff that isn't 100% perfect. And I think a lot of people do that. And you look at social media nowadays and you're constantly comparing yourself. And I feel like we are now in this world where to stand out, you need to be creative. And the creative people are the ones that are moving society forward. Because the ones that are just staying stagnant, and I don't actually want to use the word stagnant, are just staying in the same, thank you, yes, still. They're not making any change. But that's a hurdle that me being a very outgoing person, to even want to be creative or to share my creativity with people and put myself out there is a hurdle. Once you get over that hurdle, I feel like the rainbows just come and the skies open up.
And I'm gonna validate that with science. I'm gonna tell you why.
You're I love right. This. Yes, give me science, girl.
100%. And so there's a concept called neuroplasticity, and it goes into even, you want to get really clinical, people who've been in accidents or have had spinal cord injuries or closed head injuries, how the brain relearns and how we regain function back, right? It is through something called neuroplasticity. And so what fires together stays together. So imagine you've got in your brain, you've got all of these neurons, sending electrical impulses to one another to communicate and get us to speak the words, to move our fingers, to do all the things. This is how we function.
Okay.
Now, if you are able to take the parts of your brain and the neurons in your brain that are required for logic, problem solving, really tactical things, and simultaneously fire up the creative neurons, whether that be intuition or actually doing something creative. And I don't mean painting a picture or, taking a perfect photo. I mean doodling.
Yeah.
I mean drawing straight lines and then making a grid like that.
Just letting your brain free.
Anything.
Yeah.
When you fire those neurons together deliberately, what happens is a new pathway is created. And what fires together stays together. So now you have a new neural pathway that will help you think more creatively to solve problems, which is innovation, which is imagination, which is inspiration. And that's why creatives are leading us forward in this world, solving some of our most complex problems.
You heard it here, folks, straight from Kristen's mouth. We just backed up logic with science. Kristen, I love that!
Right? So you feel it, and I want to say it's because there's chemicals and hormones and all these things going on in your body making you feel this way.
So we're all on the right path. If we step out of our comfort zone, we're all on our right path.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, this is a big thing for me.
Yes, and and find freedom in that.
Yeah.
Right? So like with my jewelry design, it's primarily to fund my charitable efforts, right? It's not my pay the bills business by any means. It's also something that helps me just figure things out in my heart by getting to work with beautiful things and create, special gifts for people with meaning. But that whole idea of being able to lean into that creativity and explore freedom, right? There's really no rules. There's really no right or wrong. There's space to explore. And it goes back to even when we're kids. It's such a shame that we encourage the child out of our humanness.
Very true. Very true.
And if you ask kindergarten kids to solve a problem, you'll end up coming up with faster, more inventive, more creative ideas than if you sit down with a C-suite of executives.
Yep.
And the one book tries to tease some of that childish imagination and creativity back into your everyday. And it becomes a habit. So the book has 6 habits in there that it's trying to get you to practice without you even really knowing it. And I believe, through all of my research and the theory, this is taking from all the best practices around leadership, business management, self-help, positive psychology. I've kind of taken the best of the best and manifested it into this theory, the one theory. And it includes 6 excellence potential habits. So habits that I think, if you blend them together, you're going to reach your excellence potential, whatever that is for you, whatever success is to you. Not my definition of success. It doesn't have to be a bank account balance. It doesn't have to be a number of trips you take or a retirement age. No. Whatever success is to you.
I think that's very interesting, and I love that you say that, because success means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And I think in today's society, not in today's society, but in society in the past, it was not looked like that at all.
No. And this is where the hustle culture has come from. And this is why the overwhelm is something that we just sort of accept. And to your point about comparing on social media, right? Hustle. Look at them. They're hustling. They're doing 800
they sold
things
more
today.
houses than
They sold more houses. Look at how hard they're hustling.
Yeah.
Oh, to be successful, to have their level of success, I should probably follow what they're doing. Which we know is a bunch of BS because, whatever people put out on social media is just their best.
It's always the best face.
Right? And often people who are stuck in that cycle of perfectionism, which I really want to talk about today because you mentioned it. And most of us know what it's like to be a perfectionist and that fear of letting something out before it's tied up with a bow.
So let's talk about this perfectionism.
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's talk about this perfectionism, because I don't consider myself a perfectionist. I feel like I am quite easygoing. I live in the moment. However, this world of social media and content creation and advertising yourself and branding yourself, it is difficult some days. and constantly having to put your best foot forward to, I think, traditionally show people that you're the best, the hardest working, you sell the most, you do the most, and that's why you need to hire me, has very much drained my soul. And it's very draining on anybody, but it's that perfectionism of having to be perfect, and that's why you want to work with me. Having to be perfect, that's why you want to be friends with me. And then when you do then get to know me and you see the real me, that I fly by the seat of my pants. It's a completely different world. And I was actually doing some Instagram stories, which I haven't posted yet, but I was talking this morning on the drive here of everyone just puts their best foot forward. And I'm tired of seeing everyone's best foot forward. And that's actually, if we're talking about social media programs, I think that's the biggest and most positive thing that TikTok brought to us, was it took us out of this Instagram perfectly filtered material of in a bikini on a beach or at the gym looking completely perfect, to being authentically you dancing in your kitchen with no makeup or crazy clothes on, or just being yourself without that judgment. Yeah. But for me, I struggle with that because I want everything to be perfect.
Right.
And to let go is hard. Right. Is very, very hard.
So I'm gonna take this down a path. Are you ready to go with me?
Okay, let's go down a path. Okay, Kristen, I'm ready for this.
And it's okay if it's vulnerable, but if it gets too vulnerable, I'll be like, out. So,
oh my God, make me cry.
No.
Make me cry.
No, I don't think it's one of those. But, okay, so I heard you say that it's difficult for me to let go of that, wanting it to be perfect. Why is that? Oh
God, you're making me hit my mic. Why I think that is, I think growing, I think there's a lot of things that come to it. I think in the profession that I am in, real estate for such a long time has been one of those careers where maybe some people might put me down on a pedestal a little bit, but real estate has been one of those occupations that I feel everyone puts up as like a lawyer, a doctor type of profession because of the money that you can potentially make. So there's a big stigma about that, is you are a professional. Where's your 3-piece suit? Where is that? Yeah. I also do think growing up as well in a very, I don't want to say a very traditional conservative family, but it was a conservative traditional family, but yet I came from it. So like, how traditional conservative it wasn't. But like growing up and the lessons of, well, if you fall, you get back up, you do it again, and you don't let anyone know that you failed. You just continue to do it. And just that constant, you put a mask on, Erin, get up and do it again. Compartmentalize it. Okay, whatever, it happened, it's in the past, just go. In my adult life, and actually this is a big topic, when I hit 30, it was like it all just came to a freaking head. And that was where I was like, I'm bored. Like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if this is the path, but the perfection was such a big thing. When I think about it, I think it has to do with society, as well as like, and actually I talked to my therapist about this the other day. I am a people pleaser, a very big people pleaser, and it is something that I struggle with when I don't want to please somebody or if I want to say no. But the perfectism in me is, Erin, it's okay. Just do it. That's what they want. That's what they expect. And it's almost that expectation that I've put on myself for others.
Right.
Wow, that was a lot. I went through a lot to get to that.
You did. You did, and I'm not done with you. I'm not done with you. No. And so I'm going to ask you another why. So why do you want to please people?
I want to please people. I feel the reason I want to please people is because when I was younger, I feel like I could never please anybody enough. I feel like in today, and again, but looking at me as a 33-year-old to like a 14-year-old is completely different. But like being younger, I was never, and it's so funny, I got the award from Century 21 for being the popular person. But when I was younger, I never felt like that. I always felt like the outcast. I always felt like I didn't belong. I didn't know if I belonged to the girl groups, the guy groups. The guys didn't really want me, but the girls thought it was weird, but then the girls loved me. I honestly do think that for so long I didn't know how to please people, yet know how to please myself.
Okay.
And then growing up, it was one of those where I came out, and when you come out, you go through so many different emotions too of, okay, well, I'm out, and I'm out and proud. And that's one thing, but at the same time, I didn't really feel confident, so I pleased people. And then you go through your corporate career, and you just continue, and I felt like that was just something I continued to do. And when I turned 30, actually no, it was when I left the city, I was just done. I was like, I don't want to please anybody no more. If I'm not pleasing myself, or let alone my husband, then I don't give a shit.
Right.
So I think it's a lot to do with my past, and me and my therapist were talking about this too. And it just, he said to me, he was like, well, Erin, were you popular? And I don't even want to use that word, but I just feel like I was invisible for so long, and I made myself invisible for so long, that now to keep people around, I have to keep them happy.
Right.
And to be honest with you, Kristen, I don't care anymore.
Right.
Like, I care, but I don't care, you know?
Right.
Wow.
So you kind of expedited this.
Oh.
So I call it the 5 why exercise, and we only had to go to 2 for you before you landed on something that felt pretty solid with insight. And I know that you got there because you're like, well, actually, I'm checking myself right now, and maybe I don't care that much about people pleasing. You just said it. I care. I don't really care. So that's your truth. So the 5 whys is to get you to your truth.
Do you think maybe it's not a people-pleasing thing? Do you think it's a pleasing myself thing?
Could be. Could it be that there's something inside you that you haven't let out yet, or there's a big dream or a goal in there that you've kind of danced with, and it's really never come to the forefront of your mind because it seems so big and scary, and it's just you're not quite fully out there yet.
Oh my God, Kristen.
Right?
This is, oh my God.
It goes deep, right?
This is just even hearing that, we could talk for another 2 hours about this, but I feel like this is very much where I am in my life right now. And it was funny, I was talking to my husband the other day, and he made a comment to me where he's like, Erin, I'm 36 now. Over the last couple years, shit has happened, good and bad, but I feel like I'm finally turning into the person that I'm meant to be, or that I am almost there. I won't be there, but I'm getting, I can see it in myself. He said that to me, and actually, I didn't say anything I wasn't like, oh yeah, me too, but I internalized it, and I was like, am I the person that I'm supposed to be? Am I going in that direction? But I have a lot of dreams. I have a very big goal for something that I'm working on right now, but it's the confidence to make it big, and then also being a people pleaser, I want to please myself too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's a lot of demand on you for pleasing everyone, including yourself. Here's the thing with confidence, and this is actually a quote in the book somewhere. Couldn't tell you what page. Confidence happens in hindsight. So for any of you out there right now, waiting for the confidence to come along to actually take the leap and do something, stop wasting your time.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Confidence happens in hindsight, right? And so it's after you've gone through and done something that's really hard, and you look back and say, I did that, and I'm still here to tell the tale. Oh, okay, I'm capable of that. What else am I capable of?
Yeah.
And then you try something else, and oh, well, that wasn't so scary. It was more scary just anticipating it, but once I did it, it was fine.
I even think, too, being able to experiment and to do that and be willing to fail and learn from that and be able to be like, well, I failed once. What possibly can go wrong next? Or what can go worse? Nothing else but the exact same thing.
Totally. And, it's called fear setting.
Yeah.
Right? And so instead of goal setting, it's fear setting. What's the worst that could happen? Could you live with that? Would you have some mitigation strategies to pick yourself up? Could you do anything to prevent those worst case scenarios? Right? Again, you have one life to live, so quit wasting your fucking time.
Yeah.
Get going. And so you know how, with fear and adrenaline, we know that it's the fight or flight, right? So there's fight, flight, or freeze. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I have a fourth F for you. Fuck it.
Oh, my favorite.
Right? Like, let's choose that. Instead of fight, instead of flight, I'm out of here, or freeze, I'm not going to do anything because I'm overwhelmed.
I'm just going to say fuck it.
Say fuck it. And I'm just going to do it anyway.
Kristen. Oh my God, girl. This is like a mind opener.
Well, you know, I want it to be
And all of this
freedom.
is in the one book.
It is in the one book, and that's the lens, right? This is how I see the world. This is how I work with my clients, and I've infused it into these habits into the book to try and just make things easier.
So what I'm hearing and what I feel like is going to happen to me is that and actually you've really kind of changed my outlook on this book just in this 45 minutes. Even us talking candidly off camera. But when I looked at this, I looked at it as an organizer.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm hearing now is that the organizing part of this is just one piece. Yeah. It is like an accountability book. It is a believe in yourself book. It is just get off your ass and do something book. This is just not an organizational book.
No, not at all. And the book itself is to try and make it easier.
Mm-hmm.
So as humans, our brains are wired to try and find the path of least resistance, right? That's why we like to do things that are easy, right? And it takes a little bit more effort to focus on the harder things and dig in. So if we know that as human beings, if it's made easier for us, we're more likely to do it.
Yes.
That's what this is. It's to make your life easier so you do the hard things. And that's it. So by keeping you organized, that's one of the habits. Organization, it's the very first one. You'll make your life easier. You're not sorting through 8 different journals and books and day timers to get why did I write that phone number down? Right? Or what was that person?
Did I put it in my phone?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? It's in your book. It's in the one book. You don't need anything else. It's organized. You know where to find it. It's in a rhythmic sequence of pages, so you get to know what to expect. You get to sort things now. And our brain likes to sort things. It's honestly like it's like vitamin E for your skin. It's just so good for you to organize things. It's patterns. We like those things. The second habit is prioritization, right? So this is the thing with Overwhelm. The to-do lists are a mile high, and we often carry things over from one week to the next because we didn't cross it off the list, and then that's overwhelming, and then we feel like we're failing, and on and on and on. So prioritization is the second one. The next one is creativity. So this has exercises in it to get you being creative.
Like coloring pages.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
There's other ones.
Yes. Well, they look like coloring pages, but if you read the fine print at the bottom, there's actually an exercise to challenge your creativity. And it might be, there's one in there. It's a full page, beautiful graphic spread that Logan did. Beautiful drawing. You're supposed to write a letter to yourself by putting a letter in every little space, but randomly throughout the page. So write a letter to your younger self. You'll never be able to read it again because you're going to have letters jumbled all over the page.
Yeah.
But you got it out. And you were being creative and figuring out, okay, am I going to put all the E's over on one side or the I's over here? Or, and then if you want to go and color it in, by all means, fill your boots. But it's filled with creative exercises that tap into that neuroplasticity, not just with doodling and drawing and making lines and that sort of thing, but getting your brain to think in these different patterns to infuse creativity also while you're thinking of a problem or a task, right? So creativity, I fully believe in it.
Yeah.
It's a game changer. That's the third habit. The next one is storytelling. And so creativity and storytelling you don't see out there. These are ones that I kind of just thought, I see the value. I think it needs to go in there.
Yeah.
And so there's a 1-minute journal section in every month where you're just expected to just write down one line every day of a journal. It could be, I think one of the prompts is, what song do you have on repeat right now? Or...
Cuff It by Beyonce.
There you go! But mark it. Write that down. Put it as a timestamp in your book. And when you come back to this 10 years later, you're going to have a chuckle, aren't you?
Oh, 100%.
And you're going to remember a car ride that you had. Or, going for a walk with your dog and you're listening to it. And you're going to remember those moments. It's a memory jogger. But that's your story, Erin. We all have these beautiful stories that we're living out and unfolding every day. And we get so lost in the busy and the hustle that we don't take that time to reflect and say, there's value in this moment when I listen to this song for the 8th time today. It touched something in me. That's
Oh, it
worthy
touched
of
something
praise.
in me. But I 100% agree with you, Kristen.
And so the book prompts you to live into your story, capture your story. Because the idea is, right, and we've talked about this.
Yeah.
You fill it out for an entire year.
Yeah.
You put it up on your bookshelf.
Yes, I was going to touch on
Yeah.
this. Yep.
And you pick up another one, and you do it all again. Now, my 19-year-old son is the one that really cemented this home for me.
You told me this, and it, like, I got into my car and I got a little emotional about it because I was like, oh my God, so tell all the little radicals.
Oh.
Little radicals, this is something that it's going to touch your little heart.
Yeah, and it's so important. And I knew it when I wrote the book, but when my son said this to me, I was like, oh, yep, the dots fully connected now. So one of the reasons why I incorporated storytelling is my dad. He passed away 7.5 years ago, and he had a terminal brain tumor, and it was a really tough time in our lives. But there are so many blessings that came from the journey too. And he, after he left his career, I asked him to take some time and do memoirs. I wanted to hear the stories from when he was in England, and his family used to be the gardening family for a very rich estate owner. So they lived in near poverty, but they took care of the grounds, and he had photographs of the garden came. Oh, it was so cool.
Very Downton Abbey.
All of it.
Love it.
Right? But I knew it was going to be really important to capture those memories in his story. And he took 12 years to do research on his genealogy, to gather pictures and maps and all the things. And he created this collection of binders and photographs over 12 years. And now I have that.
Oh my God, Kristen.
And I pull that out. Ethan asks once in a while, my son, can we take a look at it? Could we look through? And I bring it out.
I
and
love that.
it is utterly priceless. And so much of it is done in my dad's handwriting, and he had beautiful penmanship.
Yeah.
And it's utterly priceless. So I knew story matters big time.
Yeah.
And I think this is an opportunity for you to, instead of going back in hindsight and do it for 12 years, capture it in the moment, right? So,
well, there's so much in the moment that you don't remember that was so significant to that moment. You know what I mean? And then years later, you're like, it was just a moment. But in that moment, just the littlest thing could be the most significant.
Oh, it is. And if you're listening and if you're watching for the signs, you'll see it. We are being guided and directed. So we have to be present.
Amen.
We have to be in tune. So a few months ago, my son was helping me deliver a few books to different local stores.
Yeah.
And he was my muscles because these books are heavy when you've got dozens of them.
That's why I want children. I don't want to be the muscle no more. Just kidding.
Oh my gosh, he's so much more than that. He really is. He's my little hero. Not so little hero.
I love it.
But we're very close. He's my one and only.
Yeah.
And I just adore him, love him to the moon and back. And we were just talking about the book, and he's told me quite a few times how proud he is of me. And to have your 19-year-old son tell you that, it's really earth-shattering.
Pulls at the little purse strings.
Oh
my God.
And we were just, talking about, the use of the book and how people have been using it. And he just got quiet for a minute. And he says, well, Mom, who's going to get your books? I said, what do you mean my books? Like the books that I fill out every year? He's like, well, yeah. Who's going to get those? And I got really emotional. I'm like, would you like them? He's like, no one else can have them, Mom. They have to be mine. And he says, that's priceless to see your story and have it all there. And he's like, plus you wrote the book, and then all the books you wrote in of the book you wrote, that's pretty valuable too, Mom. But it was this realization that, the gift that my dad gave me is something, of course, I want to leave for my son.
Yeah.
And this is a way to do it. Not just for me to do it, but for anyone who wants to leave their legacy for their loved ones.
I love that, Kristen, because basically your dad left a legacy for you, and you are adding on to that legacy. And from the sounds of it, your son is so proud of you that most likely that will continue.
Oh, I hope so.
Oh.
That's your job, I think, as a parent, when you kind of get past we got you through high school, and you got a car, and you got a job, and you got
your shit together.
You got an amazing relationship. I mean, it comes down to how do you teach and mentor your kids to be good partners, to be good communicators in life.
Communicating is a big one.
It's everything. Like the teaching doesn't stop when they're 18.
Yeah.
And then how
it almost gets more.
Oh, it does. Well, and they're still watching, too.
Talking about overwhelmed feelings.
All of it. All of it. And then how do you, for me, it's important to ignite that little spark in him.
Yeah.
To just keep trying, keep doing, keep exploring. You don't have to have one job for the rest of your life. Oh, you want to go do this in school, but then you change your mind? No problem. Let's figure out something else. You want to travel? Great, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
And to nourish that spark. And, it's so important at this stage and this age, I think, to nourish that and be very focused on that in your kids. Because long after I'm gone, that's going to serve him well. And I talked about this recently around the power of gratitude. And it's something that my dad taught me in his final months. And he became very, very grateful for all the tiny, minuscule things in his world. There was a moment when he was in hospice and it was cold winter day and blue sky. And I'm sitting in the room with him feeling just so sad. I'm there for 12 hours a day. I cry myself to sleep every night. It's just awful. And he says, Chris, look outside the window. Look at the snow. Mm-hmm. And I look, I'm like, yeah, it's snowy, Dad. It's freaking winter in Alberta.
Hey,
like,
way to make me more sad.
Where are we going there? Exactly. And he says, no, take a closer look. Look at the snowflakes. And so I get up and I go and look. And I'm like, well, they're pretty. And he says, no, look at how they landed on my windowsill with the sun just so, with the backdrop of this beautiful blue sky, so that there's glitter on those snowflakes. It's a miracle. Look how beautiful that is. And I just felt this wave of understanding come over me. That's what life is. It's seeing the glitter on the snowflakes. It's not just the big wins or the best years or the awards or the, and he discovered that very, very late in his life and at the end of his journey, but thank goodness. But he passed it on to me. And that power of gratitude, that's what got me through the grief. Mm-hmm. That's what gets me through the overwhelm sometimes. Sometimes that's all I have. Mm-hmm. Feeling ultimately overwhelmed, I have to go look for sparkles on snowflakes and feel grateful for them to get through. But that's a skill. It's a habit. It's a lens. It's a way of being.
Yeah.
And so gratitude, there's a gratitude page for every month in the one book because it's that important.
Kristen, you have taken me on an emotional journey and I don't even know where to end, start, or stop. I was like, just, wow.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. Well, it's a lot, but it's a lot of good shit. It is so much more than an organizer. It's like a life organizer, a gratitude journal.
Yes.
So today, I want to do my very first entry in this book, and we're going to do it on the podcast and on camera. Just, keep me accountable.
Okay.
And then I believe that in about a month or so, we're going to get back together, but on your podcast, and we are going to see how accountable I have been and see my progress. So, where do my very first entry? We talked about this. Mm-hmm. You start it when you are ready to start, because it is a journey.
Yep.
So I am ready.
You're
but
ready.
Where do I start? What page do I start? What?
You should, first of all, do all those checks to see if you are ready. And when I say that, I mean, here's what I want to. Here's some criteria about readiness.
Okay.
Are you ready to think of things differently?
Yes.
Are you ready to let go of perfectionism?
Yes, and I've already been working on this for the last couple of months.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you ready to hold yourself accountable?
Yes.
Are you ready to level up?
100% yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm good. I'm gonna tell you what I mean by level up, and I'm gonna ask you again.
Okay.
If you are ready to level up. So think in your mind. You don't have to tell me, but just think about your highest level of success that you've achieved, whatever that is for you. Could be a year, could be an award, could be something. Mm-hmm. So think about that, the highest achievement you've ever had.
Okay.
Okay. And then think about maybe where you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then think about where you are in that, right? So you could be at the 50%, you're between 50%, 60%, whatever it is. Now I want you to think now about your highest achievement as your next lowest achievement.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny you said that because I was thinking about this the other day. Okay, so I would say in my real estate career, now I was on teams for this, but I achieved the Centurion Award, which you can get a double Centurion. It's just the amount of homes and money you make. And that is one of the highest awards with real estate in Century 21. So I got that for 2 years in a row. And that has kind of, and you know, it's so funny because I think about this all the time and I'm like, you know, Erin, you made a shitload of money. You did a shitload of deals. But was I happy at the end of it? No. And so my goal now is that I want to get back up to that place, but I see value in helping others get to that place with me as well. And this game of doing it on your own and outbeating yourself and others, I would like to take others on the journey with me. And so I feel like that's the next level. That's the next level is I've achieved it. Yeah. And it's funny, I've achieved it, and now I'm kind of like, you achieved it, well, what is there next? Right? And like, I guess I could go for double centurion and all that stuff, and I do want to go for that. But I really want to bring somebody, and not bring somebody, but I would really like to mentor and coach younger generations to get to that point. Yeah. And then once you're at that point, how do you stay at that point? But then how do you reinvent yourself to get you to the next point? Exactly. And that's the exact journey that I feel I am on, and I want to share that with others. Amazing. And so I'm totally making this marker up for you as a goal. So it's arbitrary. Okay. But envision this. I want you to visualize it, that you are watching your mentee receive the Centurion Award. Oh my God, I'll cry. I will. I'll be that guy in the corner. Right. And they come to you and they say, I couldn't have done it without you. Your mentorship has helped me achieve this. Thank you so much. And I want you to sit with that and feel it. And then you're going to do it for a team of people. That's the next level up. And then whatever comes after that, it might not even be in real estate. Please don't limit yourself to just one thing. There's so many other things that you're going to do in this lifetime. Right? But get something that feels like it's astronomically beyond where you are right now. And that's going to be your next high, but it will become your next low. You know, I might cry during this little part, but back in the day before I got into real estate, I worked for the city of Edmiston, and I started swimming instructor, lifeguard, and you just move your way on up. And I was at Bonnie Doon Pool working as a lifeguard. And like Kristen, we've known each other long enough. My personality is just me. Whether I'm on a pool deck, in a show home or whatnot, I am just Radical Robinson all the time. Yes. And there was this lady, and she was bigger. And, you know, inclusion in rec centers in the past was not the best. Yeah. It has gotten a lot better now, but there was this lady, and she was just a beautiful soul. She was a beautiful individual, but she really struggled with her weight. Yeah. And one day she came to the pool, and like, you know, me being the outgoing lifeguard, hi, how are you? That's just what I do. I greet everyone. I make everyone feel special. She needed help to get into the pool. We got the chairlift. We got her into the pool, yada, yada, yada. She did her swim. I talked with her a little bit, and that was just a normal day in my life. Years later, not years later, but yeah, years later, me and Scott went to one of his entrepreneur friends' houses for dinner. And I sat down, and she looked at me, and she's like, do you remember me? And I was like, I don't remember. What do we know? Like, I'm really bad with names, but I'm really good with faces, but like, I don't remember your face. And she said, you know, Erin, you changed my life years ago, and I don't think you even know it. And she actually told my husband about it first, because that's how she met my husband, was they went to entrepreneurial business school with each other, or did a course or something. And so I met her, and she said, you know, years ago, I went to Bonnie Doon Pool, and like, she looked completely different. I would say she was like hundreds of pounds lighter. She looked great. She was no longer using a walker, but at the same time, I didn't even know this was the same person. Wow. And she said to me, she said, you know what, Erin, that day I felt like giving up, and I felt like giving up a lot, but just seeing you, your charismaticness, how you greeted me, and you made me feel like I was the only person in the world and I could do anything, that made me really go serious with my diet. I swam more. You ended up leaving the city of Edmonton, or I think actually I moved to a different pool at that time, so I never saw her again. But when I met her years ago, it was a life change. when I look at my future and I look at what I've accomplished and what I want to do, I want that feeling back.
Yeah.
I want to help people in any type of way, and I think that's why I do so much non-for-profit work as well, is that feeling, just that experience. It was almost like a drug but you get into your own world, you get into your own head, you do your own thing, you forget about it. And now when I'm looking at nurturing people and coaching and mentorship, I often look back to that and I'm like, look at how I made her feel, and it was almost effortless.
Yes.
But if I can do that and do it for a positive change on professionals,
Yes.
imagine the shit that could happen.
The ripples.
The ripples.
Yeah. We can only do so much when it's just ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But when we empower and enable and encourage others, that's the ripple.
And I find not enough people encourage each other.
That's so true.
Because it is that dog-eat-dog world.
Well, and I'm sure it's especially true in your line of work.
Oh,
right?
real
Highly competitive.
Crazy for it.
I got some ties in there myself, so I see it. And I mean, it's that way in a lot of industries.
Any sales, I find.
It can be.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it totally can be. It doesn't have to be, though. I do sales training with my husband as well. He's been in sales for over 30 years. And, it doesn't have to be.
Mm-hmm.
There's always enough to go around. And if you don't have the goods to serve the client that you care for, then it shouldn't be a sale anyway. Right? So if everybody practiced sales with ethics and integrity, there would be no room for competition because we can't be everything to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But everyone tries to be everything.
That's right. That's right.
And we can't.
No.
And I find that's even in relationships and everything.
Yes.
Everyone tries to be everything.
Yeah.
And you almost have to take a step back and you're like, this is my capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I can give.
And that has to be enough.
Yeah.
Right? And being aligned with your values.
Mm-hmm.
That might tie us back to the book actually as to where to start. In any business, it's really one of the fundamental things that I advise my small business clients on. Get clear on your vision, your mission, your values, and your purpose. Full stop. Don't do a marketing plan. Don't do social media. Don't go and ask for a business loan. Don't hire someone. Don't do anything until you have it clear in your mind what your vision is, right? That's bigger than you. That's how you want to change the world. It'll never be accomplished in your lifetime, but that's your North Star. What's your vision? What's your mission? So that's what your job in this lifetime is. You are on a mission like a soldier to get this part done. What's your mission? What's your purpose? That's your why. Why are you doing this? If you have to ask why 5 times, so be it. But what's your why? And then your values. And these are your guideposts and your lanterns in life and in business.
Mm-hmm.
They are non-negotiable. They're probably not going to change too much over the years. And you're steadfast in them. And your values should guide every single decision you make in your business. Every single one. Do I take on this client? Do they align with my values? Yes, no. Do I invest in this marketing plan? Does it align with my values? Do the people I'm working with, do they align with my values? Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Do I bring on a partner? Do I mentor this person? Do I buy the one book? All the decisions, big and small, does it align with your values? Yes or no? If the answer is no, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. It's that easy. And so the one theory, the power of one is simplify, simplify, simplify. And if you can have these guideposts and lanterns in your life,
Yeah.
probably no more than 5 or 7 that are like a checklist, a screening tool, so much easier.
So my why
Mm-hmm.
would be, I got into real estate, because I like to help people.
Okay.
Then I got into non-for-profit because I like to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm noticing this trend with me
Yeah.
is I like to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And so now with me trying to build a team and other stuff, and with this podcast, I want each people to help each other.
Yes.
And that is where my vision is. I want to continue this path of building people up
Yeah.
and helping them go from one stage to the next stage of their life, professional life, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, oh God, where do we go next, Kristen?
Well, if you really want to start there. So the beginning of the book, the first, 30 pages or so, or 27 pages, I should say, that's the theory. That's
Yep.
the introduction to the one theory, what it's all about. So I'd say to start, if you just picked up the book for the first time, read that.
Okay.
Number 1. Okay?
Done.
Next, check on readiness, because I asked you those questions about are you ready?
Yeah.
Right? And you said you're ready for the level up. That was my last question.
Yes.
Still yes?
Yes.
Okay. So on page 27, I have a quote. It's a quote that just sort of fell out when I was nearly done the book. And I think this is like your final check. If you can agree to this, that this is what success can be for you, then you're ready. You're ready to open the book and keep going. So I'm going to read it.
Okay.
In this one life, may our success be measured by our courageous choices, our bounces back, our lessons learned, and our wisdom gained, our memories made, our stories told, our empathy shown, kindness shared, and the joy-filled steps that carried us forward. So if you can agree to that and like sign to it, then yeah, I think you're ready to keep going.
I love doing my autograph.
There you go. Do it. Is this the first time you're writing in the book?
Well, I did put my name in the front.
So this is the second time you're
This
writing
is
in
the
the
second
book.
time.
How does that feel for you? I want to hear how that feels for you.
Well, the first time writing my name in the book, I was almost like, oh, I'm putting a date in here. Should I not put a date in here? I don't know. The second time, it feels more real doing it with you, Kristen. So I'm like, okay, so here.
Do it. Now, for all of our friends who have a version.
I signed the book.
You did it.
I signed the book.
You did it. You're committed. It's
I'm
there.
committed.
Oh, I
my
love
God.
it. So people, if you don't like writing in books, this isn't for you. You're supposed to write in this book.
You know, the funny thing about writing in books is at the end of that year, and you see how thick that book is from the pages being wrinkled and crinkled and like some coffee spilt. It's almost like
Coffee spill. Oh, I got that.
Oh, it is the best. So I was looking at this actually in my office the other day, and I was like, it's almost too perfect. So
mark it up, dog ear it.
Okay. I'm gonna have to get some tabs like yours too.
Oh, I got you.
Oh my God. Okay,
I got you.
Okay.
Yeah, you do
Okay.
that. We're gonna get to that.
'Kay.
Okay. So the next few pages.
Just before we continue, we have 20 more minutes before we run out of memory card.
Okay.
We're over 1
I think we should be
hour,
done by then.
Oh
and
yeah.
these 2 cameras are overheating already. We need to be restarting them. So
Okay.
Okay.
Finish this.
We're gonna be pretty quick.
Yeah, this is the last part.
Okay. Let me
Okay.
just find the actual.
Okay, so page 27. I made the commitment.
You sure did. Okay. Now the next section is it's becoming your reference book. These are things that you're going to come back to throughout the year.
Okay.
So you fill it out once, and it includes things like positive affirmations. And so whatever you use, or you can fill in the blanks. If you need some help, go to our website. We've got a list of 101 positive affirmations that you can borrow and steal.
Okay.
The next one is my why. And I think that might be a good place for you to start. So that's on page 32.
My why.
Your my why and my vivid dream. And this is going to help you get clarity on that North Star. And I want you to not just see it, I want you to feel it. And you know that feeling, Erin, when you're just starting to fall in love and you realize, oh my gosh, I think I'm in love. You know that feeling?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want you to feel with your why and your vivid dream. Like, oh my gosh, this is mine. I'm so lucky. I love this. I want to see it through. This could be forever. I want you to try and get yourself into that space with whatever your why and your vivid dream is. Fall in love with it. Because what will you do for the people you love to that degree?
Anything.
Anything. No questions asked.
Yeah.
Now this is you. This is falling in love with you. Your vivid dream. Your why.
I love that you said that, because this was actually something I was talking to my husband. I feel, not that I don't love myself, because I do love myself, but I feel like I've lost touch with that part and trying to refine who I am besides like my husband's husband or whatnot, trying to find who is Erin, really, and falling back in love with myself rather than constantly judging
100%.
myself
Yeah.
is a big one.
Yeah. So I think that would probably be
Okay.
the starting point for you.
So, Kristen, what I'm going to do tonight is this is my homework.
Yeah.
And so you're going to hold me accountable to these 2 things. I'm going to go home tonight and I'm going to fill out these 2 pages. I'm going to take pictures of them and I'm going to send them to you. And then when this podcast is released, I think I'm going to post these to my story to keep my little radicals and me accountable as well, so that they also know what my why and
Love it.
what my vivid dream is, because I feel like everyone should know. And we're on this path of being creative and stepping out of our comfort zones.
Yeah.
So this will be my accountability piece. So I'm going to do it tonight.
Love it.
I'm going to send it to you, and then when this podcast comes out, people can actually see the work that we did with each other.
Oh, I love it, Erin. And
Oh my God.
it's so much. It's going to help you.
Oh my God,
know.
I'm nervous, but I'm very excited about this.
Oh, you know what? When we write it down, we make it real.
Yep.
I've had a lot of people ask me if I'd ever put this into an app. Make it an app, Kristen. Oh, hell no.
Actually, that was I was going to ask you, was there a digital copy?
Not a chance. Not a chance. This is for the people, and it's not for everybody, but this is for the people that see the value in putting pen to paper, and they like that physical connection, and they see that when they write it out, it's real. It's not the same as typing.
I love it, Kristen.
It's not. So I love this. I love the accountability on it. And you know what else it's going to do, Erin? I don't even know if you see this yet, but you will, in hindsight.
Okay.
You're going to see that act of sharing this and being vulnerable is going to start those ripples already.
I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard, but I 100% agree with you, and that's kind of my mission now is everyone knows a specific Erin. Let's just get them to know the real Erin. That's not in a 3-piece suit selling houses 24/7. There's so much more to friend groups, to lives, to experiences, to hobbies, to me, than just that. So, Kristen, I'm excited about this. So I will fill this out tonight. I'll send it to you. You don't even need to comment on it. You can just get. And then we will share it with all the little radicals when this podcast airs. And I think this is a really good starting point.
I love it.
Kristen, thank you very much for joining me today on Keeping It Radical with Erin Robinson. This was amazing. I'm very excited for our next podcast that we do with each other on your channel. A little cross-promotion. I think it's good for everybody.
Yes.
So, Kristen, how can people reach out to you?
Oh, lots of ways.
Okay.
Usually social media is the fastest, right?
Yeah.
So you can find us on Instagram. The handle is the.one.book.
Okay.
Shoot us a DM. We love chatting with the One Bookers.
Yep.
Whether you're curious or you've already got it, I want to hear from you. We have a book signing coming up.
Yes, and I'm going to be there on Saturday.
Can't wait. So this is super exciting. So if you have a chance to stop by Indigo Chapters, South Edmonton Common this Saturday, that would be great. So that's October 15th. Not sure if timing will work out with
You're
this
there for a
episode.
while, like 4 or 5 hours, aren't you?
Like 11 to 5.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's plenty of time. All the little radicals should be able to accommodate.
Awesome. Awesome. And you know what? That's probably the easiest, most simple way to get in touch. And check out the website, right? Because then you can see a little bit more about the book, and our podcast is there, and the blog, everything is there. And so that's theonebook.ca.
Onebook.ca. Now, also just a little plug, your book is also in chapters right now. Is it just local? Is it all over the place? But someone can go into a chapters right now.
Yes.
Pick up this book and start their journey today.
They totally can. And actually, the book is available worldwide on any online retailer's website.
Amazing.
So it's
Good for you.
We have a lot of sales in Europe, actually. It was quite interesting when I can look and see geographically where sales are happening. A lot of them are in Europe.
You know, those Europeans know how to do it. Us North Americans are like, do it half-ass backwards.
I'm loving it. But yes, you can. It was available locally here in Edmonton with Chapters Indigo for several months. And just over a month ago now, they decided to take it national.
Love it.
So it's in store across Canada. And you can also go to our website and pick up a copy there too. So lots of options.
Well, Kristen, I appreciate you to the moon and back for even being willing to do this and have this conversation with me. I had a great time, and we will put all your handles and everything down below so all of the little radicals can reach out to Kristen and follow her on her journey of the One Book as well as Just Life. So, Kristen, thank you very much again for today. You are a blessed soul, and I can't wait for us to talk in another month or two.
Absolutely. Thank you, Erin.
You're very welcome. Adios, amiga.